Enoch. The book was thought to have been lost for over 2,000 years, with many ancient sources referring to it, and even quoting parts, but no complete copies were known. Then in 1773, James Bruce brought 3 copies back from Ethiopia, having spent some years exploring the country. Enoch had 2 main reasons for writing his book. The first was because the Watchers instructed him to do it, see section 15 at 81.5 and 81.6. The second reason was to save his family from the flood. Enoch wrote his book after his grandson Lamech was born, but before Noah was born. Noah is only named in the section that Methuselah wrote, see section 10 at 107.3, and of course in his own section, section 11, the Book of Noah. So there may still have been 40 to 80 years left before the flood, at the time when Enoch wrote his book. There is a long gap between the time of the flood and the time when Moses gave praise to Enoch in Genesis. Genesis dates from around 1400 BC and forms part of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. In Genesis, there is Enoch's family, as named by him in this book, and a quick recap of some of Enoch's story. It seems likely, therefore, that copies of the Book of Enoch survived into Egyptian times, 3500 BC, and was known to Moses around 2,000 years later. Moses presumably took a copy of the book with him when they all left Egypt, and he was no doubt pleased to see Enoch's prophecy fulfilled. The book probably existed mainly in Hebrew during the 1,000 years after the Exodus. No Hebrew copies exist today, however, although there are some Hebrew passages quoted in some of the Aramaic fragments that survive from a few centuries BC. The appearance of the book in Ethiopia is probably due to events in the Book of Enoch. 6. Jerusalem during the reign of King Manasseh of Judah, 695 to 642 BC, which are documented in the Bible, 2 Chronicles 33:120, and at 2 Kings 21:118. King Manasseh was not of the Jewish faith. He erected altars to Baal and Asherah in Solomon's temple. In Kings at 21:16, it says that so much innocent blood was shed that it filled Jerusalem from end to end. At this time, the religious establishment left the country, taking the Ark of the Covenant and all the important religious texts with them. After a number of years in Egypt, the refugees went further south, near to the source of the Nile, at Lake Tana in Ethiopia. The descendants of these people are the Falashas, who even today follow the form of Judaism that had been practiced in Israel only before 620 BC. The Ethiopians translated the Book of Enoch into Ge'ezi, and had enough respect to look after it. Meanwhile, all Hebrew versions disappeared, but a substantial part of the book had survived in Greek, and some parts in Aramaic, but until Scottish. Traveler and Freemason, James Bruce, returned from Ethiopia in 1773, with 3 manuscripts. No one in the West had ever seen the whole book. The 2 commonly available translations were done soon after this, and the book was received with an embarrassed silence, for the most part, and not widely read. This book is based on a new translation published in 1978, which was produced as a result of research into a large number of the Ethiopian manuscripts, and a review of all other surviving fragments. My hope is that this present edition will be the best version of Enoch's book available in English. I think this is an important book, and I have done my best to present it as clearly as possible, and in a way that I hope Enoch would have approved of. The Book of Enoch. 7. Condition of the text. I believe the text to be in good condition generally. It seems to be almost complete, with a beginning and an end, and it is self-consistent. Even more significant is the way that Enoch's character and style of writing are still apparent. The only parts that I suspect were written by different authors I have separated out, as the Book of Methuselah, and the Book of Noah, chapters 10 and 11. The translation by Michael Knibb into English is very good, and I have had to do very little to the text in order to change it from a good translation into clear English. I have added quite a lot of punctuation and improved the presentation, but I have made only very minor changes to the text, such as substituting before with in front of where appropriate. In a few places I have substituted sky for heaven where it makes the meaning clearer. Where Enoch says the face of heaven he means the sky, but I have left it unchanged. I only changed heaven to sky where I was sure that was the intended meaning. Similarly, I have tried to use earth with a capital, where I think the meaning is the whole planet, and earth, without a capital, where the meaning may just be the ground, which Enoch often differentiates himself by referring to the dry ground rather than the earth. Fortunately, Enoch's style was to use a simple vocabulary, and he assumed no pre-knowledge by the reader. Anything complicated, he explains at length, with quite a lot of repetition. This has helped to preserve the book through many translations. There are a few places, even so, where there are problems. I have marked these with dots, where some words seem to have been lost. Fortunately, there are not many of these, and nothing important appears to be missing. The Book of Enoch. 8. I did find a few translations